this is the time where you have to talk about this. Our new record was spawned through my unfortunate, turned out great, positive, but unfortunate situation that happened to me. Very unexpected record, and very unexpected thing. I was on tour with the band on our Pop Punk Stone Not Dead tour. I had like super high blood pressure. I had just all these health issues.
So he had, talked to some doctors. He saw the doctor. They told him that, he's got to watch his salt intake, and he's got to kind of just eat bland for a while. So he was doing that, and it seemed like it was helping sometimes, but then other times it wasn't helping. And so we're basically trying to figure out, what was wrong with him and what was causing that.
I remember that tour and trying to balance this, like everybody's having fun at the same time. There's something happening here, but again, I just think it's stress. Chad had a newborn at home, and leaving for the first time for a while without her and his wife, and maybe that's just getting to him.
And I got home, and I was exercising to lose weight to lower my blood pressure. And one morning I didn't wake up, and my wife found me in bed. So she called the paramedics. They gave me she instructed her how to keep blood going to my heart to make sure that I wouldn't go under. Paramedics got there and shot me full of sugar. And I woke up like I had no clue what was happening. And they sent me to the ER, and my body wouldn't hold sugar and my blood pressure wouldn't come down. So I had to be hooked up to these things. And basically, I stayed there for a night until they sent in the specialist, who found out that I had an 8-inch tumor in my stomach, malignant cancer called pheochromocytoma. So the guys in the band had no clue. I had no clue. It just was this insane thing, that I was living with. It they said had to be growing in me for 3 to 5 years. So the specialist named Dr. Terry Jerkins, she's an angel. She, how she found it was first just asking me questions about how I felt the last 6 months. And by looking at me, seeing all the things that are happening, she believed there was this cancer, pheochromocytoma. And then when they did the test, that's what it was. At first, I didn't tell the band right away the first couple of days because, the cancer, when you hear the word cancer, you immediately think of death,
When you're in a band with someone and something like that happens and it's kind of out of your control, and, you kind of feel helpless, what can you do to help? I mean, we all live in different states, so honestly, there's not much that you can do. So you reach out to him, and he would text back, and then sometimes you'd check in, you'd text him to see how he was feeling, and you wouldn't get a reply. And you're super worried, why isn't he replying? What's going on? Come to find out a little bit later that we found out that he had cancer.
When we got the call or the text that that Chad was going through what he was going through, I was shocked, actually, I guess is the right word. And it was really hard to process at first because I was like, how does someone like Chad, young guy, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything, the straight edge guy in our band, how is this happening? And when I had time to just kind of think about it, I put all that aside and I was like, all right, what are we going to do to just get him through what he's going through? Whether it be, positive messages, FaceTiming, whatever it was going to take, planning, whatever we do. It was really shocking to know that one of your best friends is going through what they're going through.
It's a very weird feeling. I think all of us, unfortunately, most people have had some kind of run-in with cancer, whether directly or indirectly, and it's such an unknown thing, and it can go so many different ways, and the timeline is so different with every experience. Your mind races with emotions, right? And so much went through my own mind there, and through those days of what was going to happen with us, with Chad personally, with myself. I'm at home with my family. You just don't know.
And what I was dealing with, my cancer, is very rare. It's called pheochromocytoma. It's an endocrine kind of tumor, super, super rare, especially mine, like how it grew and how big it was, and the fact it was malignant. It's like 1 in 10 million people, 1 out of 10. It's like really insane. I mean, so crazy that my oncologist, who deals with, cancer patients all day, I'm the second patient he's ever had in 15 years. So they shipped me to Nashville at the Centennial Hospital, and I lived there for like 2 weeks in ICU, and they cut out the tumor, and it was like she did everything she said. My oncologist, Dr. Bauer, who's another angel, and my surgeon, Dr. Polk. So yeah, so I had this insane giant tumor in my stomach. Anyway, my surgery went great, cut out this giant 8-inch tumor, and obviously from that experience, I was just filled with emotion, picked up an acoustic guitar, started writing some riffs and jot down some lyrics, and I called the guys, and I think they knew, obviously, Newfound Glory, we always write about our life experiences, and we always write about, it's very, very natural, our songwriting. It always has been.
We deal with Chad's condition in our own way, just like obviously he has a fight that he's going through himself. And trying to process that is not something that's easy. But I think one thing that you can always do to either take your mind off of it, or at least in our case, to kind of bring us together and put you in a good place and maybe have things to look forward to, or just, live in a moment that we really enjoy is our music.
We made it through something just really hard, and it was awesome to just be back together again in the studio. So as we were recording, writing the songs, talking about things, and then finally seeing what the songs were about, Chad would send me little bits and pieces over text and stuff, lyrics and things and ideas, but once all the songs came together, it was actually the most emotional sort of record or lyrics that I've seen in a long time.
So they were very intense lyrics, super real, super deep, super straight to the point. And it just makes you feel.
In the beginning, I didn't want this record to be our cancer record. I didn't want to give it, I wanted people to be able to relate to it on their own, and adapt it to their situation, where they wouldn't overthink about our situation or overthink about my situation and kind of steal the experience. But then when I went back out on tour, I saw the impact that my story had on fans, from letters, things they wrote me. And then I also found out pheochromocytoma, because it's so rare, there's not a lot of info about it. There's not a lot of support. There's not a lot of the charity aspect for it. So I was like, man, even though I have maybe at first an insecurity about it, where I didn't want to sort of let's say, push this thing that happened to me on people, I realized the reverse thing. No, this doesn't happen to a lot of people. So this is the time where you have to talk about this.
Pheochromocytoma. It's hard to say. It's even harder to spell. Chad's talked about it a lot on tours since then and tried to bring awareness to this. It's such a rare condition. You have to teach yourself a lot about it, and you have to kind of try to figure out what that means for everybody involved. It's very inspiring every night to be on stage and to watch Chad be out there, obviously knowing what he went through, and to see him still giving his all for the fans. And then, of course, ironically, to find out after this past recent tour that he had, the pheochromocytoma, still remnants of that in him in different spots. To know he's going through that still and is on a tour playing every single night, but raising awareness now, which I think is an amazing thing.
Every night I would talk about it to fans on stage and just have great reaction. But on the tour, my back started hurting really bad. So I flew home early, and in my T12 vertebrae, I had a tumor grow out of that, pinch on my nerve. So I had this crazy surgery 3 weeks ago. I had to leave home early. Thanks, Dan from 4 Year Strong, for filling in for me. But I basically, the same cancer that I had, thank God it's not a new cancer. It's not a different one. It's the same pheochromocytoma that was in me that moved to my back and got in my lungs.
Kind of sitting in the outside and seeing all the stuff that Chad's went through, and him having cancer, and then the cancer going away, and then going back on the road again and seeing how much pain he was in, and then him having to leave the tour to find out that some of the cancer has come back. You just hate to see like your friend go through that.
I'm grateful that one of my best friends is still walking around today.
I got home from tour and in there and with this specialist to save my life. So because of that, we teamed up with the PheoPara Alliance, which is pheochromocytoma and paraganglioma, two different kinds of diseases that go pretty hand in hand. Very similar adrenal gland, adrenal-based cancers. So yeah, we teamed up with them. So like every money from every record sold of Make the Most of It, this record goes to them. Like every record, every CD, if we make cassettes, stuff we're doing on tour, we're going to do a bunch of fun auctions, we're going to do some limited merch, and we just really want to use this record. Newfound Glory has been really lucky where we've had great exposure, we have a long career, so it kind of feels like, it's time that this experience happened where we can now just bring awareness and bring some money to a cause in a real way, where I live with it,
To be able to be up there and be part of something special in the sense that we're bringing awareness to this condition, this disease, is also something that I'm proud of, or at least I take comfort in knowing that we're trying to do something about it. So everything about this record and what we did for it going into it, and I think what we're trying to do now with it and after, is something special for us, something unique, and I think it shows you the bond that we have as a family, the bond that our music brings together, but then we try to share that and spread it to the world, and that's Newfound Glory for us. Try to make the most of it.